Hi, I'm Connie Jeffrey, and I work on protein structure and function. First, let me tell you a little bit about what proteins are. So proteins are the thousands of molecular machines in our bodies that are made up of long strings of amino acids, what we call polypeptide chains. And we can think of these polypeptide chains as being like the steel in a city. So a steel can be used to form a shape like a car or a truck for carrying things, just like hemoglobin in our blood is a protein that can carry oxygen from our lungs to our muscles. Other polypeptide chains fold into proteins that sit in our cell membrane, and they can let things in and out of the cell just like a door can let things in and out of a building. Still other proteins give structure to cells, and we can think of it as the steel that helps hold up a skyscraper. And so we have proteins that do all kinds of different things. And in my lab, we try to figure out how the proteins do these things by determining the three-dimensional structure of these proteins and then following that up with biochemical and biophysical studies. So first, to determine the three-dimensional structure of a protein, we produce a lot of the protein and isolate it. So we use the method of recombinant DNA technology to get bacteria to make a whole bunch of the protein that we're interested in. Then we grow up a lot of those bacterial cells and we isolate the protein we're interested in away from all the other parts of the cell. We have to get rid of the DNA and the membranes and the thousands of other proteins that are in the cell so that we have a solution that contains just the protein that we're interested in. Then we use a number of procedures to grow crystals of that protein. Now, a crystal is an organized array of a molecule in 3 dimensions. And these protein crystals actually look a lot like a little diamond that you might have in an engagement ring. So we take these protein crystals and we place them in the path of an X-ray beam. And this might be in equipment that we have in our lab, or we might take them to a synchrotron, which is a large particle accelerator at a national lab. When these X-rays hit our crystal, they're scattered into a 3-dimensional pattern, and we use special X-ray detectors to see that 3-dimensional pattern and take it over to the computer where we can use mathematical formulas to help us calculate the 3-dimensional shape of the object that scattered those X-rays, and that's basically the shape of our protein structure. Once we have our protein structure, we can analyze it on the computer. We can zoom in and look at the different parts that might be involved in interacting with other molecules, whether it's a small molecule, what we call a ligand, that it might be converting to a different type of molecule, or we might look at the opening in a protein that allows things to pass through, if it's a membrane channel, for example. And one of the things we do in my lab is we actually model into our proteins those changes in protein sequence and structure that are associated with genetic diseases that cause something to go wrong in the body. So we can figure out where those changes are in our protein structure, and we can use computer-based methods to think about if that amino acid change is causing a lack of the activity of the protein, or maybe the protein isn't folding up into the right 3-dimensional structure, or maybe it's not stable and that it won't retain its 3-dimensional structure for very long in the cell. Once we have a model of what we think is happening to the protein, we can make some of those mutations in our protein, produce a lot of the mutant protein, isolate it, and follow up with a number of biochemical and biophysical studies. And we want to be able to do this because we might be able to come up with a small molecule that can serve as a lead compound for developing new drugs that might help treat these genetic diseases. So this is one of the types of research that we do in my lab. And right now we have projects that involve proteins in cancer and tuberculosis, and also autoimmune diseases like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. So, thank you. Bye.